MYD Heart is proudly brought to you by NHP. NHP, we are about you.
It is that time of the day again here on the show. Time for MYD Heart. It's brought to you by NHP. And today we're chatting to Health Coach Callista, who is a Namibian living in Wales, married with 3 children. And she's also a qualified clinical psychologist who is going to share with us her story on MYD Heart today. Good afternoon to you, Callista, and thank you so much for joining us on the segment today.
Good afternoon, Teresa. Thank you for having me.
It is a huge pleasure. First, I want to ask you, how's the weather that side?
It is so hot. It's like 29 degrees.
Really? It's so cold this side. I actually wish I was there right now with you to enjoy that weather. Because
I wish
honestly,
you were here. Yeah.
Callista, let's get straight into it. Can you please tell us a bit about yourself? You know, where you're from, what you do, etc.
Wonderful. Thanks again for the opportunity. I'm a Namibian living in South Wales, in Newport, and I'm the eldest of 3 girls. We were raised in both South Africa and Namibia, so we had that advantage of having different backgrounds that we were coming from. And having a Namibian father and a South African mother, that gave us a huge advantage in life as well. So I moved to Wales about 11 years now.
Wow.
And I've got 3 young children. And I think one of the reasons why I'm where I am today is because of the challenge of not having the African support system, if I can call it that, living in a foreign country.
Yeah.
And so one grows up really quickly, from never having babysat or anything to having 3 kids of my own. It's been a major learning experience, and I do credit my upbringing as a major reason why I have coped relatively well, I think, in my situation. Yeah.
I actually know your sister, just so we know what your sister, like talking to you right now, it's like I'm talking to a totally different version of her. It's really an awesome pleasure to chat to somebody else related to her. I hope she's not listening right now because she's going to be so angry at me.
No, I didn't tell her.
Callista, please also tell us, how do you stay motivated, especially right now, during the times that we're living in right now? What makes you get up and stay motivated on a daily basis?
Teresa, what Namibia is experiencing at the moment with the COVID-19 is what Wales went through this time last year. So unbelievable numbers of people going into hospital and a lot of deaths, and it's people that you know or you're affiliated with somehow. And so I think what has really, really gotten me motivated, especially with regards to health coaching, is just looking at how tough the health service must have been, for people who've never been through something like COVID before. And, the stories that they came out with saying, I'm standing next to a 90-year-old who's on a ventilator, and I'm getting orders to take the ventilator off to give to a younger person.
Sure.
Now, imagine somebody having to do that and thinking this could be my grandparent lying here right now. So things like that, if they can get up every single day and go to that job, the least I can do is see what I can do for either my family or my immediate community or for the country in which I live in or where I come from. And so that's how I stay motivated, is just to say, you know what, let me minimize this impact of COVID for my children somehow. And that has gotten me up on days when I really have felt, who knows, the world might just blow up tomorrow and none of us are alive anymore,
That's true.
That's what has kept me motivated, is literally to say, there are others in a much worse off situation than me. And the least that I can do is just put in my little bit of contribution there.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're also a health coach, Callista. I actually need some tips from you after we're done with this conversation. You help women and men lose weight. Tell us how you do this differently.
Mm-hmm. So I have tried every and any diet under the sun, and the operative word here is try. Yeah, because I think we get to that point of I'll try this, I'll try that. And what I've done in some of my, I've trained as a clinical hypnotherapist as well.
Yeah.
And what I learn in hypnotherapy is that words are unbelievably powerful.
Yes.
So how you speak to yourself is how you see yourself. Okay, so if you say, I'm going to try Weight Watchers for these 3 months that they offer a package for, that's literally what you're going to be doing. You'll be trying it.
Yeah.
However, if you say, I am going to do Weight Watchers for 3 months, that is exactly what you're going to do. And so with my program that I offer, it's a 3-month program, and I don't necessarily focus on food. That's like a little bonus in between the sessions that we have.
Yeah.
So we are together for 12 weeks. And the first week is where we establish the goals for where my client would like to be in 3 months' time. And every single week, I always remind my clients that nothing is set in stone. And something else that's really, really important in coaching or therapy of any kind is that the client remembers that it's a judgment-free zone and it's a safe space in which we operate in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is something I reiterate all the time, which allows then my client to not only grow, but to experiment with various ways of being, as well as different experiences that we bring to the coaching experience. And also just for them to be their authentic selves. You know, there are things that you'll tell your doctor that you won't tell your best friend.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and there are things you'll tell your best friend that you'll never tell your parents.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So we work in such a way that we are not only working with, the weight loss becomes, it's like a side effect. You are eating your problems. That's possibly the reason why one is carrying so much weight.
Yeah.
And so we deal with that, what it is you are eating or what it is that is eating you.
I can totally relate to that. You know, eating one's feelings and you know, sitting there with all the weight now after you've eating your feelings, and where do you go from here? What do I do to stop, you know, this habit of when I'm emotional, angry or happy, I turn to food to comfort me. So just before we get to our next question, Callista, how then would you then advise someone who is stuck in that habit of you know, eating one's feelings? How do I get out of that?
Sadly, you have to go through whatever it is that you're feeling in order to get to where you need to get to. And sadly for us, we took this whole COVID lockdown as, you know, I deserve to chill, I deserve to sit down, do nothing. And where possible, we all ate and drank our feelings away.
Yeah.
But this was such an opportune time for us to actually face what it is that is eating us. Or in the case of somebody who's got a drinking problem, what are you trying to drink away?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to numb yourself?
What's the underlying issue, the underlying problem or cause?
Absolutely. And I think as African people as well, where we are no longer within our traditional communities, we now live in cities. So that space is not there anymore for us to fall back in. And we are looking at westernized ways of dealing with our problems.
Yeah.
And where is that? That is at McDonald's, that's at KFC, that's at wherever else.
True.
And in the bars, in the shebeens, etc. In going to buy the latest, biggest, most expensive handbag or pair of shoes and so on, you know. All of those are indicative of the state that we are in as a human species, we are not okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Callista, why do you do what you do? I mean, we all do our jobs and we come to work and we wake up every morning to help our clients, lose weight. But what do you get out of it? Why do you do what you do, and what do you get out of it? What is the final end of the road kind of reward that you get out of helping other people?
Teresa, in January of this year, I lost my cousin who I was brought up with. And he was based in South Africa. So living in Wales, and over Christmas, hearing that, he's doing so much better. He's doing so much better. He's doing so much better. And then on the 4th of January, my mother, who's in Namibia, rang me to say, your cousin has left us. I couldn't finish that conversation. And I had my 6-year-old, well, she was 5 at the time, or 4 actually. Just comforting me. My kids were around me and they were trying to comfort me, and I'm trying to tell them Mommy's okay and everything. And it really, really hurt deep down that he had children, of which the youngest is 10 years old, a little girl. And we've all heard about the relationship about girls and their fathers, you know. So that little girl will never really have that father-daughter relationship when she starts dating, or when she one day there'll have to be a family member who stands in to walk her down the aisle kind of thing, you know. And so this was a very, very big catalyst for me to change from life coaching to health coaching, because again, my cousin was, I heard later after he passed that he had gained so much weight that walking around the house, going to bathroom, things like that had become so difficult for him, exacerbated by the COVID diagnosis that he had. And so, it just got me to a point where I was thinking, you know what, some members of my family, including myself, are overweight. And they say charity begins at home. So let me just start doing this with my family members and extend what I know out into a further reach of either women or men and women, is it perhaps a certain age, and so it's hard to pinpoint exactly, but I think my transition from life coach to health coach was definitely helped along by my cousin's passing. And also as heads of households, as we need to teach our children to eat better. That it's with my young children, we no longer call sweets and chocolate treats. When I take them to the park, that's a treat.
I like that.
Exactly. Because, again, it comes back to what we said earlier, that we must be careful of the words that we use, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you say, this piece of cake here, I think I'm going to treat myself to it. Which means all the other times you're not treating yourself, but you find those people who say, you know what? I've had a really good day at work today. I think I'll treat myself to a walk around the neighborhood, just to stretch my legs and be one with nature kind of thing.
Callista, we've actually run out of time right now, but I want to ask this last question as well. Just for the folks who are tuning in right now, who might be stuck in a diet or exercise plan that's just not working for them right now. What 2 tips do you have for that person?
I would say weight loss starts in the kitchen. And in my experience, once the weight starts coming off, the person is then has this compulsion almost to start moving. And I call it moving as opposed to exercise, because when you put on 2-3 songs that you really love, you sounds like there's no tomorrow. That for me is exercise. And when it comes to food, never, ever, ever have the feeling that you're deprived. So if it means you're going to eat a big steak and a tiny bit of salad, so be it. It's just deciphering what kinds of foods are you eating. We obviously know things like, bread is not that good for us. And, rather have sweet potato than the white potato and so on and so forth. So it's very, very important for us not to feel deprived and to be loving what we are eating.
Yeah, I agree. No, and also just
it's a relationship.
Yeah, someone also told me once that you can still have all the food that you love, just in moderation. Just make sure that you're not overdoing it. If you want to eat a piece of KFC, don't eat a bucket of KFC. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. You must eat the food. The food must not be eating you.
Exactly. I agree. Yeah. Callista, thank you so much for making time to chat with us. And I'll definitely, a bit later ask you those tips about weight, because I'm also trying to lose some weight right now. And I find it very difficult to stay committed, to doing it. So I'm going to talk to you about that off air in a minute. But thank you so much for, again, making time to chat with us.
And thank you for having me in your program, Teresa. It's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure as well. That is Callista on the line all the way in Wales, talking about health coaching, eating right, and not being so hard on yourself, and also watching what you say to yourself. She also mentioned that how we talk to ourselves is how we see ourselves. And we always talk about, being gentle with yourself and being kind to yourself. As much as you have to be kind to other people, you also have to be kind to yourself. That is our MYD Heart for today. It is Peaches, Daniel Caesar, Givian, and Justin Bieber up next on 99.
MYD Heart was proudly brought to you by NHP. NHP, we are about you.
99 FM gets it to Rehoboth on 99 FM.